for a change?
I am talking to you.
Then get ready to explore the quantum possibilities. It's time to transform that outdated paradigm into something universal and new. Time to uncover the truth hidden beneath the veil of lies. A time to think outside the box as we link to a higher consciousness. Welcome to the awakening. And now the hosts of Broadcast Team Alpha, Nori Love and Augie Nost.
Well, hello, TSA free travelers. How are you? It's Tuesday night, and we are so happy to be here. We're so grateful to be here with you, as always, and with our amazing returning guest. I just wanted to take a few minutes and thank you for the donation. Thank you for the love. If you don't know how to make a donation, there is a donate button at the end of the KCOR radio page, and it will defray what we pay for our contract, and it always comes to us. Tina is amazing. So thank you for the love. And if you need to reach us, you can find us at broadcastteamalpha.com. We do have a YouTube channel with some really old, not really old, but back in the day kind of shows of Augie and myself and when Tom was with us. And they're pretty funny if you ever want to go watch some of those. And there's some pretty interesting ones as well. But I don't even want to take up any more time because I so want to talk with our guest tonight. So Augie, how are you?
Oh, I am wonderful. It's don't know any other way to do it. And I tell you, so is our guest. Because we are having Tom Dongo again. And Tom is recognized as one of America's leading experts in the paranormal, UFO, ET, and remote viewing, which really is his specialty. He's also a speaker at many of the national and international conferences. Tom Dongo is the author of 8 books, unless it's grown since last time I talked to him. And he's been interviewed on over 36 national and international TV shows and over 40 international talk shows, including Coast to Coast and many other really big ones. And he has a new book out. And that's just in the last maybe couple of months or so. And it's called Merging Dimensions. And there's a series of 32 amazing pictures in there. And for those of you that is wondering about that, go to Amazon and have a look, and you can see the book there. Maybe many people are like me. I love books with pictures in it, because that adds a different dimensions to it, and this one has it. But today we're going to talk about remote viewing. What is it? How does it work? And also, why does it work? And what in the world can you see when you're sitting in your living room or your office at home and you get mental images and things from 1,000 miles away? And you start making drawings of it, and how does this work, and how can it be so accurate? This we want to know about. So welcome to the show, Tom.
Welcome, Tom.
Yeah, glad to be back, you guys. Yeah,
Yay.
Great fun. You know, I want to start with why. You know, that would somebody would, you know, it's kind of an interesting question. Why about remote viewing? And I've been thinking about that a lot lately. I think the why is we all had the remote viewing ability in the beginning, you know, in primitive times, but we've lost it. I think we've lost other critical abilities too, psychic abilities. So, and I've been thinking, it's interesting you bring that up, because I've been thinking about that a lot lately, because people have been bringing it up to me, and you know, if I could. If I was a rich guy, I would spend the rest of my life teaching people remote viewing free.
Wow.
We should have 100 million remote viewers in this country. The whole world would be different, because I'm talking about what I see, you know. So I know how different the world would be, and so it And what is remote viewing? It's simply projecting your subconscious to a place. Time and distance has no meaning. And actually, lately, to amuse myself, I've been going. It's easy for me to go back in time, and I recently went to a village. I think it must have been England, probably around 14 or 1500, by the look of the primitive stuff they had there. And the interesting thing about remote viewing is you can smell. You can go back 1,000 years. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. You not only can see, but you can smell. So I'm cruising around this village. That was back in the 1400s, and all the odors. The leathers, the dung that's all over the place, and just the smells, and the cooking smells, and the dirt smells, and you actually, if you practice it enough, you can actually be there. But I liken it to a ghost. I feel like a ghost because I can see them, but they can't see me. In fact, I think it was Whitley Strieber's wife said it really irritates her because she can see, they can see us, the dead people can see us, but we can't see them. So it's probably pretty much the same as a remote viewer. So I would cruise around this village for I poke in everywhere because they couldn't see me, but I could see them clearly. So that's one of the fun things about remote viewing, and it can get real serious. So you have to be, you have to prepare yourself for some of these things. A lot of these things are spontaneous, like watching a murder or some of these other things. So at any rate, I'll tell you how to remote view it. And lately, I've been perusing some of these people that charge $2,000 to teach people how to remote view.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I say this is BS. I mean, it's really not this hard. What they're doing, and they've got all these names for different names and things, and it's not that hard. Anyone can learn remote viewing easy. I like to use this example. Somebody that lives in New York City that grew up on a farm in Kansas, and by just going there, it has to be someplace you're very familiar with, like where you grew up and you kind of miss it. So you have to be drawn there with a bit of emotion. So, even I do this to stay sharp. I'll go somewhere, and if you do this enough, and don't think it's your imagination, because most of the times it isn't. You're really doing this. But I've had people get discouraged. Oh, it's just my imagination. I said, no, it's not. You don't have enough trust in yourself. Yeah. So you can by doing this repeatedly, and I do it all the time. It's just go to a place and you do it enough, and you'll be drawn into the place, and you'll be doing this one day. And you'll think, my God, I'm here. I'm actually here. Your body is not there, but your subconscious self. It's like I say, it's like a ghost. Mm-hmm. And the really curious thing about this is animals can see you instantly. Mm-hmm. My friend Tom O'Donnell is a psychologist in Durango, Colorado. We worked on my remote viewing abilities for over 6 months. His damn dog used to chase me. And I looked at it, I said, you little, I look at that dog and I said, you little blank. You can see me, can't you? And I looked right down at him. He'd be down there, looking right at me. I said, you little bugger, you can actually see me. So anyway, animals can always see you. So it's so much fun. It's incredible. I wish people I could.
Speaking of fun. It's a good thought, Tom. Speaking of fun, let's say that you have two remote viewers. Let's say that I am not really a remote viewer as such, but let's say that you meet up with someone at a specific location. Can you see each other?
You nailed two big ones. I've been thinking about exactly that lately. Yes, you could. You know, I can't hear you very good, Augie. You seem to be long ways away. I couldn't hear you at all in the beginning before, but you know, you know, I've been in a room with some of the world's best psychics. You know, I went to the Berkeley Psychic Institute in Santa Cruz, California, and I've hobnobbed with some of the best psychics in the world. And if you're in with close a great psychic, and I have been with some of the best, the very best, you will absorb their abilities. I've been in a room with 5 or 6 phenomenal psychics, and if someone walked into that room that didn't have these psychic abilities developed like they have, they would absorb, as I've seen it happen, and it's happened to me, they would absorb some of these psychic abilities and start doing it, start practicing it. It's the same with remote viewing. Just before I was on the line tonight, I had a friend here. She was a super remote viewer, and we used to travel around the universe, and it was more fun than you can imagine. We'd go to places, you know, on other planets, other stars, and I sure miss that, because I've been basically just been me, you know, and I was born with incredible remote viewing abilities, and I actually just only discovered about 25 years ago that I had these abilities, but I've been using them all along.
Mm. Well,
how did you know you had them?
Well, yeah, good question. Well, we got some good questions going tonight. Mm-hmm. So my psychologist friend Tom O'Donnell, he was here in Cottonwood, Arizona, and he was at a motel, and I went over to Tom, and he was typing a report, and he's one of these people that can type about 1,000 words a minute. So I sat on his bed and waited for him to finish this report. He was a child psychologist. He's retired now. But while he was typing, I was looking at a magazine, and suddenly I had a vision. This is what started the whole thing. And it will work with other people if they just believe it and you know, let it happen. But anyway, Tom had a beautiful house on a mesa in Durango, near Durango, Colorado. It was about 10 miles south of Durango, up on a mesa. Beautiful place with a view of the San Juan Mountains. So I think I was probably thinking of his house. I loved it there. He lives in Illinois now, but at any rate, I saw his table. He had a beautiful mahogany table, and all my books I had I think 6 books at the time, and they were all on his table face down. And I got right down to these books and looked at them. And I said, wow, this is really something. You know, I kind of looked around a little bit while I was there, and I said, Tom, did you leave my books on your table upside down when you came down here? He stopped typing, and he thought, he says, why, yes. How do you know? I can see them. So that started the whole thing. We spent 6 months testing my remote viewing abilities. He would go to Durango and set things up, and I would from Sedona, 350 miles away, I would go to his house in Durango. We had more fun with this stuff, and I found he would put photographs, and pictures of crazy looking aliens, you know, on just, you know, anything and everything. And I found that if he put them in the sun, I could see them clearly, the light. But if they were in the dark, I had a very hard time seeing them. So I don't know what, you know, but, you know, I was here in Sedona, and I mean, you know, I wish I had the time to explore some of this stuff. But anyway, we had more fun. We spent about 6 months testing my remote viewing abilities.
Wow. We have a comment, well, no, a question from Shady D in the chat room. Shady said, which reminds me, are ghosts just remote viewers peeking in on us?
Oh boy, good question.
Right?
You know, that may actually be. You know, I can talk to ghosts. I've been hanging out with ghosts for a long time. We could talk about that for an hour tonight. But you know, that's a good question. Probably the same thing. They're reverse remote viewing and looking at us, because you know, when I first started, when Tom and Durango had a garden, and I remember one day, I would appear at his second story office window above his garage, his driveway, and then I'd go through his window, the glass window. I'd go through his glass window, through his office, and there was a flight of stairs going down to the bottom level, and I had a floating feeling going down there, and usually I told him I'll be there in 20 minutes, so he'd start looking for me, or or we'd call each other on the phone or whatever. But I always felt like a ghost because I've watched people, especially going into the future. For me, it's difficult. I don't know why. It's just weird for me. It's just very strange. So anyway, that's when his dog Binky would see me every time, and I kind of, I say, "Go away, Binky, go away, go away, go away." I don't want you to know. But I felt like a ghost. I really felt like a ghost. So interesting comment.
Interesting. So with people dropping in, so to speak, remote viewing, can you refuse it? Can you like?
Oh boy, that's a good question. Boy, we got some good ones tonight.
Thank you.
That's I don't know if I've told this on the air before, but I was when I first started doing remote viewing seriously, knew what I was doing. I was up at the Sedona airport one day, and if somebody's remote viewing you, and I had the government remote viewing me. I'll get into that a little later. So anyway, I stopped. I felt somebody's remote viewing me. So at the Berkeley Psychic Institute, I was trained to follow the energy trails, because if somebody's thinking about you, or remote viewers remote viewing you, you can look around, and it's like a cord. I see it's like a white cord, and you follow it. Zoom, 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 zoom. So anyway, I think it was, I felt it was Romania. So I popped into this room, and there was a woman. They were both in their 40s, and they were all dressed in black, and they both had black hair. It might have been dark brown. I don't know. I just saw black. So I'm standing there looking at them, and suddenly they realize I'm there. And they spin around and look at me, and they both start laughing. So, well, there's proof. This is really happening.
Wow.
So, so I mean, it's things like that blow your mind when you're a remote viewer, that validate, what you're doing. But to the government remote viewers, I got a letter. I really can't mention his name on the air. He's one of my best friends now, but he was He was with the original team that Ingo Swann and Russell Targ formed. He was trained by Russell Targ and Ingo Swann. And I got a letter from him one day. This was when all the weird stuff was going on at the Bradshaw Ranch that I got so famous about, and I got this letter. And he at the time was a vice president of Lockheed Aircraft and an Air Force lieutenant colonel. And I got this letter. I still got the letter somewhere, but I'm going. I just kind of considered myself a poor country schmuck. Why would So he said I'm on the SciTech team. It's an offshoot of the government. They were a private team, but you see, we've been remote viewing you for weeks, and I go, what?
Wow.
So the best government remote viewers were remote viewing me. I didn't know it. I really didn't. But it was interesting, and because I think that I knew something that I didn't know because of the Bradshaw Ranch. The Bradshaw Ranch was the world center for paranormal and very, very strange alien activity. And I think they were trying to figure out what I knew that I wasn't talking about. But there wasn't really anything. So at any rate, just a few years ago, I ran into him, and I said, we're good friends. We're the best of friends. And I said, hey, I'll say Bill. I'm not going to say his real name. I said, do you remember back 25 years ago when you were on with SciTech? and you guys were remote viewing me, all the best government remote viewers. And he looked at me and he says, I don't remember that at all. I don't know why we would. And I said, Bill, I've got the letters. I've got the letter. So anyway, it's one of these strange things that happen. So it's just adds to the fun.
That's amazing.
Could it be that he was mind controlled to forget?
Oh boy, that's yeah. Yeah, it's possible. That gets to be an awful deep subject. What the chemicals and there are remote viewers. There are psychics. I've just heard rumors about them that they're not really remote viewers. They're powerful psychics, and they guard famous people. Well, I'll say like Ingo Swann. They guard them against attacks from other super psychics or remote viewers. They can stop them, and that's their job. So, but I don't know much about it because I've only heard rumors from high places.
That's amazing. So you have to hire a remote viewer bodyguard.
Yep.
Yeah, they also guard important places like the White House, probably Pentagon, and places like that. They are also guarded, it seems like, by maybe remote viewers or powerful psychics.
Well, I've gone into the Pentagon and I've gone into government offices and nobody's tried to stop me. So I don't know. But I know they exist.
Yeah.
In the beginning when remote viewing has been around for thousands of years. The Tibetans were very good at it. They'd have a remote viewer, and they didn't call it remote viewing then. They'd have a remote viewer, a seer, in each village. It might only be 30 miles apart, but it'd take a week to get there. So they had these people that would go to each village and then come back and report the news. They were remote viewers. And this was had been going on for 1,000 years, so that's why I say I think we've lost a lot of our abilities, and I think remote viewing is one of them.
Yeah.
So it's been around a long time, but I get into things once in a while, and I go, uh-oh, I don't think I'm supposed to be here,
we want to hear about that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it gets really freaky, and I have something extremely powerful that watches over me. So I've been awfully lucky with some of the things I've done. Next month I'm going to do a big show with Craig Campobasso, and on Zoom, and Craig's got a whole different viewpoint of extraterrestrials than I do, so it's going to be quite a show. But Craig communicates with extraterrestrials, and so do I, but he does it different than I do. So we'll talk about that. But the extraterrestrials.
We have about 30 seconds to the break, and I definitely want to hear about how you communicate with extraterrestrials, and we'll talk more when we come back.
Come explore the quantum possibilities. This is Broadcast Team Alpha.
Broadcast Team Alpha.
To be on the show live, call 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. Share your thoughts of the show on Twitter at KCOR Radio, #KCOR. Or join the cutting edge conversation live in our chat room at www.kcorradio.com. Now back to Broadcast Team Alpha with your free thinking hosts, Nori Love and Augie Nast.
Wow, I'm so excited to be back. And, the conversation during the break only makes things even more exciting. But first, I just want to do a quick shouties to the chat room. Of course, the amazing, beautiful, rich, and famous Tina Marie is here. $1's worth. Hello. CJ's here. Daku / is here. Haha is here. Happy Daffy. Hello. Iowa Girl, JB, JC, Joe Marco. Hi, Karen. Hi, Lisa. Naj is here. Parked Cake is here. Rob is here. Sharon, Shady D is here. And if I missed you, please forgive me. But we want to get back to this amazing conversation. So where did we leave off? ETs?
Yeah, ETs. Yeah. Okay, that's a good one. The I've some of the stuff actually I've done it so often I get a little bit bored, but to be in front of an extraterrestrial, there are good and bad. The bad ones are really just doing what they're doing, but we would consider it bad. So I that's my viewpoint of that. But they do, most of them, there are very few that will talk like we do in English language. But they have a strange form of telepathy. It's a you think it, they think it, and you got it. It's just it's an instantaneous. You'll have a thought, and they'll pick it up, and then they'll send a thought to you, and that's the way most of them communicate. And some of them communicate with pictures. They'll send you a picture, and you have to decipher it. You have to figure it out what it is. So. And I don't know how many times I said, I don't understand this at all. Try me again. Send me something else. And then I go, oh, I got it. Okay, yeah, now I see what you're talking about. But, most of them are very, very patient and likable. The big difference between us and extraterrestrials is they don't have the emotions that we have. They don't have to fight with the emotions like we do. They've got, most of them have their emotions under control. So, and they're kind of wondering when we're ever going to get that accomplished, because I don't think, I think they're waiting for us to advance, to a level where they can come in with, without being afraid of us. Right now, I think that they're basically afraid of us. All of them are. And there's at least 150 races. At least 150 races, and I've remote viewed them. I've scanned them, and some of them I've the worst ones I could find. I did that one time. Just looked for the really, really bad ones. People are always talking about, aren't you afraid of the bad guys? Well, no. I just they'll humor you. They treat you like a little child. Like a 2-year-old. So anyway, I've been right in front of these bad ones, and they are bad. They can be, and they honor you because you can see them, and you can do that as a remote viewer. So they leave you alone. They respect you because you've gone to the effort of seeing them. And most people have no idea that they even exist, or they come up with some some far out thing that couldn't possibly be real, about extraterrestrials, because that's the only knowledge they have. That's the only thing they can, their belief system can access, and so I don't deal with that anymore at all. I'm not going to mention too many things about that, because few people get really upset. Mm-hmm. But I stopped dealing with like the Ashtar command a long time ago, and there is no such thing as the Ashtar command.
Okay, so I have to ask here. So there is no such thing as it. Is it completely made up, or is it a bunch of ETs posing as the Ashtar command?
That could be.
Really?
That's possible. Yeah, that is absolutely
That's crazy.
Possible. Yeah, to create, but basically, the Ashtar command is a fantasy that somebody created way back somewhere, probably in the 40s, and it just took root, and it because. I'm not going to go too much further than that with galactic commands and all that stuff, but it gets, and we may be being deceived by some extraterrestrials, purposely deceived.
Right.
So it's tough. That's why I wish there was 10 million more remote viewers, because we would have good fun with these extraterrestrials.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would sign up for that. Sorry, Augie, go ahead.
Yeah, but there is an alliance of ETs that maybe they talk about intergalactic council and things like that. There is an alliance where they are cooperating with each other, isn't it?
Oh, I'm sure there is. And there's serious evidence about wars that they've had. So they're not all they don't all get along real well. In fact, about 25 years ago, between Sedona and Phoenix, there's I think it's the Sunset viewpoint. It's on a hill, and there's a big long hill that drops down and goes into Phoenix. There was cars. A friend of mine just came back. He says, "You won't believe what I'm going to tell you." I said, "Well, lay it on me." So he said that there was a battle. Cars were stopped on both sides of the interstate, as far as you could see, because over that Sunset Point, there was a battle going on between UFOs, and that spot right there, Sunset Point, was actually I saw during 2:00 in the afternoon, broad daylight, when my girlfriend, we saw a ship. It was probably 2 miles wide, a disc that just cleared the trees, the ponderosa pines on Bradshaw Mountain, which is very close. But this thing was at least a mile long across the disc, and it flew right across the highway. I mean, just right. So I mean, this was a hot spot for UFO stuff and people vanishing. One of the things that happened there, people, and I had so many people tell me this story. I said, I can tell you what you're going to tell me. People will be driving out of Phoenix, going up that long hill, going to Flagstaff, and suddenly they were in Flagstaff. Wow. And their gas tank was full at the time, and it was still full. And this happened a lot. And I have, and why, I don't know. But a friend of mine, Tom Courtney, actually got abducted. He was famous. Tom Courtney was famous for this abduction. He remembers it clearly from that point. He met with aliens, and it was big news back then. It was well taken. So anyway, they watched a battle, laser blasts and flashes and huge explosions. Mm-hmm. They were chasing each other around the UFOs, and these people, hundreds of people were watching this, and this were extraterrestrials were having a battle. It was a war. It was a shootout. So it happens.
Did anybody see anything falling out of the sky from that?
Not that I know of, but not that I know of. Sometimes I get fourth person stories, and I just have to take it for what I hear. But once in a great while, I can find the person, first person scenario, and then it ges really interesting because I know it's the true story, the accurate story. But when it gets passed between 3 or 4 people, it gets completely. It's very difficult to find out what really happened because everybody that tells it different. So it's interesting. Yeah.
You know what you just talked about? That reminds me of a video that I saw probably 3-4 years ago. They come out of a place maybe about 100 miles or so northeast of Sao Paulo in South America. There were 2 UFOs in the sky that had a shootout, and there were lightning strikes going between the 2 of them, and they were flying around each other. And after a few, 2 or 3 minutes, one of the lights went out and the other one went up and disappeared. So this was on the video. So what you're talking about is probably not that uncommon.
No, it's not. I've probably, since I've been into this business, I've probably heard that sort of a story 24 times. Mm-hmm. Different places around the world, different descriptions and whatnot. But it's, one of the things I was reading about this on the internet today. You and I, us humans, are trapped in a we can only experience and our eyes only work. We in a certain range. Above and below that, we can't see it, but a camera can. Yeah. A camera is far more sensitive than a human eye, and that's why all these incredible photographs are like orbs, are surfacing around the world. Incredible photographs, but nobody saw them. The people didn't see them, but they were there.
I've been sitting here itching with a question in the back of my mind, and that is that being a remote viewer and having gone, let's say, to the moon, could you say a few things about what you have seen up there?
The moon seems to have it's not easy to remote view. I wish I was in contact with other really good remote viewers and ask, have you ever been able to remote view the moon? The moon is not a planet. It is a ship. It's not a planet. It's been built and it's been positioned there, but it's very hard to remote view. Very hard to remote view, and it's sometimes it's like a spectrum. You're looking at it with your eyes, and it's like a spectrum that gets scattered. Suddenly your vision is just all over the place, so nothing makes any sense. The moon is very hard to remote view, for me anyways.
Well, I'm going to change the subject a little, if people have been dabbling in remote viewing or are interested in getting started, is there any Reader's Digest version you could tell us about how to begin? Or
no, but if you go to my Facebook wall, my Facebook page, if you go back about 20, I write about how to remote view, and I think it's excellent.
Awesome.
And it's about 20 posts back now on my Facebook page.
Okay, thank you. That's great.
But it's it took me a long time to write that. It took weeks or months. It took me to write that so I could be accurate. But if you read it, that's remote viewing. That's as good as it gets. What I wrote, I think.
Awesome.
It's free.
That's great. That's so generous. Thank you.
Is that a kind of a guide about how to go about learning it?
Yep.
Okay. Good deal. Yeah, this is something that pretty much everybody can do then, to varied levels maybe.
Well, I'd like to get people fired up, and I do the best I can, but I'm going to be 76 years old in 10 days, so...
Happy birthday! Happy birthday!
Yeah, so... I'm going to be a old duffer. I don't
70 is the new 40. Come on.
Yeah, I guess it is. Well, I don't feel 75.
Exactly.
I feel 45.
See?
I don't feel 75 years old. I know one thing I wanted to get into about remote viewing. I wrote it down here and I forgot. I can see, and I would love to train people how to do this. And I'm not doing this to make money. I'm not saying that I've solved murders, and I watch murders. I know how, and I can see into a human body. I've done this hundreds of times, and basically it's watching. How are we doing on time? Oh, we got about 10 minutes. I wish, I've told so many people, and I'm about 90% accurate. I can even see somebody 1,000 miles away that's sick, and I can tell them what's wrong with them. I can go into their body. And, I used to tell people this, and I think, geez, I wonder if they think I'm crazy. I'm a real nutcase. We got a real fruitcake here. But I've done it so many times. I've done it on medical doctors. There was a guy. He had a clinic in New York, and I scanned him, and I'm using remote viewing. I'm sure I am, because I've been able to do this now for about 25 years, and I can go right into the body. And I'm probably remote viewing. As far as I can tell, I'm remote viewing. I can go through the organs, and I don't see blood anymore. That's the interesting thing. I've stopped seeing blood. I just see the organs. And I've so many times people have come to me, can you see anything wrong with me? And I said, yeah, your hip's real bad. You're probably going to have a new hip or something like that, And I'm about 90% correct, and people with women with breast cancer, I'm not doing this for business. I'm not asking, I'm not doing this for money. I'm just, but just recently, my wife, she's got to go to the doctor, and she's got lumps in her left breast. And I said, it's it's harmless. It's not cancer. And I said, it's not cancer because I can see it.
Wow.
And so I said, no. So I called him a couple of weeks ago. I said, well, did she go to the doctor? And he said, yeah. The doctor said it's nothing. It's just something that's cysts that will, just go away on their own. That's what I told him.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done that with heart. In fact, two days apart. This guy just had a heart operation. He said, his wife said, we have big problems. Can you look at his heart? So I went over and looked at his heart. And I in 2 seconds, I said, I remember, he was bleeding. He had the operation. He was bleeding. And I looked into his heart, went right into his heart. And I said, well, yeah, it is bleeding, but it's inside of a sleeve. It goes from your heart down I think it's the left side, and it's just going to be there. You can't do anything about it, unless you want to go through another operation. Even then, it's not going to do you any good. So he went to a specialist the next day. Some guy making $1,000 an hour. Specialist told him word for word what I said.
What a blessing!
And then just recently, about the same time, a couple of days later. A friend of mine said, "I'm real worried. I've got to go to a doctor, and I have a heart problem." And anyway, I said, "Well, there's nothing wrong with your heart, nothing. But if there's something, your heart won't jump from low speed to high speed." Mm-hmm. So he went to a specialist. One of these guys making $10,000 an hour, and the specialist told him exactly what I told him. So he's been on drugs for the last 30 years or whatever. So anyway, but it's remote viewing, and I wish I could train
wonderful.
a million people to do this.
There was a question in the chat room about the instruction on Facebook. Is it anywhere else for the people that don't do Facebook anymore?
No.
Okay.
It's only on Facebook, and it's about 20 posts back now. But it's how to remote. The title is How to Remote View.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. I'm writing that down.
Yeah.
No, I wish a million people. The problem is people are so preoccupied these days. They don't have much time. But in the beginning, when I said go back to this farm in Kansas, you can do it anytime during the day. You don't have to meditate and do it. But you have to be able to clear your mind and keep doing this. Go back to that farm in Kansas, and one day you'll think, my God, I'm actually here, and that's how it works. You can look around. You can see, is it snowing? Is it raining? You can feel, you can smell the grass. You can feel the air. Mm-hmm. You can smell flowers. I've done it. It's incredible.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, the difference between remote viewing and astral projection?
Oh, big difference.
Huge.
They're not they're not the same thing at all.
Okay.
Completely two different. I get asked that. When I used to do a lot of presentations, somebody would ask me that every time. Mm-hmm. No, there's no similarity whatsoever. It's two completely different things.
Mm-hmm. So you could be like in a daydreamy kind of state, just sitting in your house, the sun is shining on you, and you could remote view.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've had people. I had a woman. She emailed me and she told me what at any rate at the end of it, I said, you are an incredible remote viewer. What you just told me, you are 9 out of 10. You're a 9. She said, I am? And she says, yeah, you everything you told me, you're a phenomenal remote viewer. So some people are remote viewers, but they just won't, they blow it off as a fantasy, but they're really doing it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So great.
Yeah.
I see now we get 5 minutes left of the show, and let me ask you also this now. What is next for you? Do you have any new books planned, or also tell us a little bit about maybe your email or where people can get a hold of you, because I know you have gotten somebody's eyebrows to rise a little bit here, so you may get some contacts.
Well, I want everybody that's listening to go out and buy a copy of my book, Merging Dimensions. It's kind of keeping me alive right now. It's selling very well, and it's on Amazon, or you can go to my website, tomdongo.com, and you can order 30% off. My publisher's still offering that. It's been almost a year now, and you have to pay the shipping, but it's Merging Dimensions is 30% off on my tomdongo.com. So it's everybody loves it. Everybody, especially I grew up I learned to read, watching, looking at pictures and books. That's why I hardly ever read a magazine or anything anymore. I look at the pictures. And that's what keeps me.
Yeah.
If it's just words, I have a hard time with it.
Are any of your books Kindle?
They all are.
They are awesome. Rob, yes.
Yeah, ebooks and Kindle.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. So, are you planning any other books?
No, people are constantly asking me, "Are you writing another book?" And I don't have the ambition to do another one, and I don't want to write something that's not going to sell. A big book is too tough for me right now. I do have some ideas, but I'd rather just do what I'm doing. Like this is the 42nd talk show I've been on this year, and so people go out and buy my books. That's where I'm at now with it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, this has been interesting. Man, oh man. Now, what is your email address when people want to get a hold of you there?
I am now almost 2,000 emails behind.
Oh,
I can't keep up with it.
Yeah,
I can't.
yeah.
Even some of my best friends, I can't even get to them. I'm a good 2,000 behind. It's just no. I tell people
Don't email me.
yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I get it.
So, I would never get around to it. If somebody email me, if somebody has an incredible story, and there's been a couple of people that have emailed me lately about the story, and it won't work. It's just, but I would like, when somebody emails me something that happened to them or something they know, I'm on that. I'm right on it. That gets my attention. But that's the only thing I would be interested in. I help people with books. I say, you've got a good idea. This would make a good book done right. But I have so many friends that have a garage full of books that are never going to sell.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not joking. I mean, a garage full of books that are never going to sell. And so I can politely discourage people sometimes.
Okay, now we are down towards the end of the show, so thank you very much for being with us, Tom.
You've been listening to Broadcast Team Alpha.
Broadcast Team Alpha.
Hosted by Nori Love and Augie Nost. Every Tuesday night at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The balance of power is shifting to a new paradigm. Will you be ready? For more information on Broadcast Team Alpha, as well as the hosts, Nori Love and Augie Nost, please visit their website at broadcastteamalpha.com. Until next week, remember to keep those minds open while always exploring the endless quantum possibilities.
Broadcast Team Alpha. Over and out.